So that first year out of retirement, were you still doing all that stuff? But
Yeah.
like in simple situations, like you're at the grocery store and you're like, dude, I gotta cut these three people, and you're like bobbing and weaving and doing arm
Absolutely. I'll
swirls,
walk by somebody,
sacking
throw a
the
little,
cashier,
slap
like
rip.
yeah,
Throw a little slap
Rip
rip.
through that.
Yeah. Or I was still training. Like I thought I was gonna go back for one more year. The teams that wanted a linebacker, I didn't want to say, oh, I'm just a DN.
I got you.
Or the teams that needed a DN, I don't want to say, oh, I'm
Yeah.
just a linebacker. So I showed that I could do both. I showed I was athletic enough and versatile enough to stand up and play outside linebacker in coverage and understand that side of it. And also, I was physical enough to play defensive end. You know how it is, put your hand in it. Now you're going against those, those hogs, and those
Yeah,
pulling
gotta
guards,
move
and
that weight.
fullbacks, and all that. You got to move that weight. So I showed I could do both.
Yeah, give me the keys to the kingdom, 'cause I came, I saw, I conquered it all. Conquer.
All right, Priest, we are back, and it is time. The big game. It's almost here. That purgatory week done and dusted. Welcome back, everybody, to the home stretch. I'm Marquise Priest. How you feeling, man? You ready?
Yeah,
You ready for Sunday?
I'm ready, Mark. I mean, this is an amazing week. This is where it all counts. This is all the work that players have done all season long. It comes down to one game, 60 minutes, and this game is going to be pretty exciting.
It's going to be awesome. And if you turn on the Wayback Machine, this is something that you were fortunate enough to experience. It's one thing, and a lot of our guests have said this, it's one thing to be part of that 1% of players that make it to the top level. You get all the way to the NFL. You're the best of the best. But then there's an even smaller group that get to taste and experience the Super Bowl, and then an even smaller group that gets to win that thing. And you got there, Priest. You got to experience that. So walk us through, Super Bowl week, playing in the game, and then obviously winning and feeling that feeling of euphoria. Just talk us through it, man.
Yeah, well, I always talk about it. I think every person can relate to this in terms of getting or prepared for something that's really big in their life. It's doing all the things right. It's showing up to the practices on time. It's making it to the meetings, of course. And then you got to deal with the bait and switch where you're going to be in front of media. You're going to be asked certain questions. They're trying to get that one particular soundbite out of you, you know what I mean, going against the other team. So guys have, they're being careful all week long and being reminded, you know what I mean, not to slip up, don't get taken advantage of, by saying something the wrong way. And then of course it's just, preparing yourself, physically and mentally and being prepared for the game. Some guys go to where, how they're going to eat, and it's a certain thing that they're eating every day. Some guys go to the fact of what type of music are they going to be playing and listening to leading up to the big game also. And then, there's a time where you got to get a chance to sneak in the family, right? The guys are there in town. They got to get a chance to spend a little bit of time, have a dinner, have a few moments with their family, just so that they can corral together and know exactly, has everybody got their tickets? I'm not going to get a last minute call and have to do a Houdini and try to figure something out. So, I think it's pretty exciting what these guys have an opportunity to witness. For the coaches, those are the guys that I really worry about. Because for them it almost seems like jobs are at stake, and as many head coaches openings that have
Right.
happened up this year here
Sure.
after the season,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure coaches are definitely on the edge. They're probably not even wanting to see their families. They're just like, look, I'm locked in, I'm not coming out of the film room, I'm watching film, I'm critiquing film. And I think whoever does that the best coming out of the bye week leading up to the Super Bowl, I think that's the team that's going to have the most success, the ones that have critiqued that film over and over again.
Gotcha. And I feel like if it were me in those shoes, man, my OCD would be kicking in
Yes.
big time, man. Like everything would need to be in its exact spot. I'd have to do the same thing at the same time every day. It would just ramp up, man. Did you have anything like that kick in for you? Were you, I'm taking my shower every day at 8:30 a.m. I'm, obviously you have your scheduled meetings like you mentioned, but all that outside stuff, were you have a little OCD action going on?
Yeah, well, I think more is just the outside noise, really trying to block that
Okay.
out, in terms of getting everything prepared. There's guys that like to organize and coordinate their outfits. For some guys, it's a time for them it's like fashion week for some guys, they get a chance to bring out their best outfits, and so I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a
Yeah.
number of guys on the teams that are, have already lined up their suits, their swag, and got all that stuff going. But for me, it was more me being a student of the game. So it was just being locked in, making sure that I'm watching as much film as I can, continually trying to critique it as much as I can, and getting ready for the big game. One thing that I can remember most of all is that when you're actually at the game and you're getting ready to have that beginning kickoff of the game, man, that's the
Yeah.
part that's just mesmerizing, man. It almost puts you into a world to where you can't believe you finally made it to the biggest show on earth in terms of sports. And so when that ball is initially kicked off and you see it in the air and all the lights and flashes and cameras are going all
Yeah,
off at one
cameras just
time,
pop, 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 pop.
yes, that's exactly that feeling that you get. And some guys, I think, by the time that the returner catches the ball, if you have it snapped out of that and saying, "Okay, I got to get to work," and you're still mesmerized,
Yeah.
it's going to play a
Yeah.
big part in terms of who's going to win and lose this game, because you got to snap out of that, realize that you are at one of the biggest plays or games of the year, and snap out of that and get ready to play some ball. I think the guys are going to be locked in, and I'm excited to see.
I think so too. The Patriots taking on the Seahawks. We'll dive into that game in a little bit, and we've got a 3-time Super Bowl winner as our guest on the show this week. Priest, we got Willie McGinest is going to be joining us. Super psyched for that. He can walk us through some Super Bowl memories as well. One or two more quick questions for you and your Super Bowl experience. As we all know, Super Bowl halftime show is a big deal as well. Who's performing? What's the artist going to do? What special guests are they going to bring out? That's just as big as a spectacle, it feels sometimes, as the game itself. And there's a lot of eyeballs on this game that aren't normally watching football, and maybe that's the draw for them. So what's it like experiencing an elongated halftime, for a player? Because normally it's a specific amount of time, but in this case, it's a lot longer than normal. So what's that like from a player perspective? Is that frustrating? Is that annoying? Does it make a difference?
Yeah, well, I think it gives you a chance to, as a player, regroup, go back into the locker room. If there's something that you're doing wrong, as there's a blitz that you're not picking up, it gives you a chance to kind of calm down, get in the locker room, and really critique exactly what's going on the field. Especially if you're the player in the game, sometimes you're caught up inside of the game. You don't see necessarily what's always going on. So you might have another running back, another quarterback that's actually signaling and letting you know. But as far as your position coaches, that's where they get a chance to come into the locker room and correct any of the miscues. But in terms of just getting back out to the game, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's a moment, it's a break, but players are ready. I can tell you one thing: they're just itching and ready to get back out there because they want to finish that game and obviously be triumphant. Now, of course, when you talked about the halftime show, right? Bad Bunny, this is going to be an international look this year. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So you talked about eyes and internationally, how many people are going to be watching this game. It's going to be tons of fans of his that are going to be tuning in, obviously, to that halftime show.
Let's go, Priest. See what I got right here on my bookshelf?
I love it.
So I'm gonna shout out my wife, born and raised there in Puerto Rico. She's super psyched for the Bad Bunny show. It's gonna be really fun, man. We're definitely gonna be locked in at halftime in my household, but obviously for the game as well. As I mentioned, Patriots versus the Seahawks, the two best teams coming out of their respective conferences. But before we get to all that, Priest, I know this is something not only important for you, but for everybody. Now that we're into February, this is Black History Month, and this is our opportunity to shine a light on the important things that have happened, specifically with the NFL. There are a lot of firsts when it comes to Black history and the National Football League, and we want to take the time to shout some of that stuff out right now, if we could. So, Priest, I'm going to turn on the Wayback Machine here. Maybe we could take turns here, because I made a huge list. I know you saw it and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of people, because there were a lot of firsts that were very important when it comes to the NFL. But look, they help pave the way to the league that we see today and help give the opportunity for players like yourself, Priest, to be able to reach that level and fulfill your dreams when it comes to playing in the NFL and winning a Super Bowl, right? So this is our opportunity here on the home stretch to shine a light on some Black history and the National Football League. Priest, look, a lot of barriers broken, starting with Kenny Washington of the Los Angeles Rams. He was a halfback and a DB, and he broke the NFL's color barrier in 1946, and he was hailed as a legend and a symbol in his own time. That coming from Martin Luther King Jr. himself,
Yes.
saying that. So when you look back at Black history and the National Football League, like what are the first thoughts that come to your mind, and you think about moments like that really aren't that long ago?
Yeah, you mentioned it, Mark. It's not that long ago, and I think that in terms of as a culture, and then also in terms of this particular month that we sit upon, it's really exciting to be able to pay homage and to be able to speak about some of the athletes and some of the players that definitely come before me. I know so many barriers and open doors were created for me to be able to be coming to this opportunity to play, obviously in the NFL. But one of the things also that I mentioned is that as we were going down that list, and it's a long list, obviously, of a number of players, and we'll continue to mention some of these names. But I was just very interested that some of them I can relate to as far as them being in that particular position as a running back. So the majority of these guys that I noticed, that as I look back in terms of who was getting an opportunity to really thrust themselves into the NFL and get an opportunity to break those barriers, the one position that really stood out is halfback, running back, fullback. And once it got to obviously quarterbacks, that was more even exciting, to be able to have that opportunity for us to be represented in the NFL.
And you can see how much it's shined now in the league, right? There are so many wonderful, exceptional Black quarterbacks playing in the league now. Just recently, we had our first ever Super Bowl where 2 Black starting QBs started the game. I mean, it's surprising it took this long, but just last year, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, and that's something wonderful to see. And I can't speak for you, but to be able to see yourself represented out there in that way is just very important. And I'm glad it's continuing to happen. And let's shout out some more of these names here. I'll go with Wally Triplett next. First African-American draftee to play in the NFL. He played halfback. Here we go. Another running back, halfback there. He was picked by the Detroit Lions in the 19th round. 19th round. It's crazy they had that many rounds back then, but they did. 19th round of the 1949 draft. And as I mentioned, he played for the Detroit Lions and also the Chicago Cardinals. I don't remember the Chicago Cardinals. Do you, Priest?
No, I don't remember the Chicago Cardinals. And some of these names, I get a chance to go, back in time and get a chance to look at the schools, the colleges, and also the NFL teams, obviously in a different league and a different time and had different names. But I was pretty excited about that, And then just to carry on, as far as going to another player, we got Paul Tank Younger, right? First athlete from a historical Black college, an HBC university, to play in the NFL. Paul Tank Younger, fullback and linebacker, was the position that he played coming out of Grambling, and then played for the Los Angeles Rams 1949 through 1957, and then also had 1 year with the Pittsburgh in 1958. It's amazing that some of the teams, how far back you can go back, and you can talk about these teams in terms of like how young so many players have been, in terms of looking at players that have played the game, wanting to be a professional football player. It goes back a number of decades, and I'm excited that I had an opportunity to be a part of this fraternity, playing in the NFL. And now, as being a former player, it gets I have an opportunity now to look back and help the younger players, and of course, give them any advice and allow them to misstep some of those landmines that that kind of await for players, once they get into the NFL, and especially on the financial end. That's one of the areas that a lot of players, tend to get taken advantage of. But of course, our union has gotten stronger. There's more opportunity and more resources for us to help younger guys that are in the league today, to allow them to have an amazing life and to provide for their families.
That's right, and we've had some great guests that attest to that and speak to that directly in previous episodes, which is really cool, including your former roommate, and put out a whole book about it too, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, Mark, is that not every guy has that same path in the NFL. Some guys come in as first rounders. You have other guys that miss the draft and they become a free agent. You have a guy that's that last guy in the draft, the last round, the last guy, that's picked in the NFL during draft time. So it's so many different different circumstances and ways that you can enter into the league. But the guys, they have an opportunity once they're done playing football, they can still be very important to their communities and very important,
Mhm.
obviously, to their families in terms of like, branching out and doing different things other than playing football. So I'm excited for the guys that take advantage of those opportunities and go back and get their degrees. They finish up in school, and then also some of the guys
Mhm.
that have aspirations in other fields. We've got NFL players that are doctors, that are nurses. We
Yes.
have them in all
Yes.
fields, all work fields, and so that's pretty exciting to see.
And some that join the military, and serve the country that way as well. Huge shout out to all those players. And I'm going to take this opportunity to remind everybody, Priest Holmes, legendary running back, undrafted. Let's
That's right.
go.
That's
Let's
right. Yeah.
go.
So we
You
talk
take
about
that
that being
opportunity.
I came
Yeah.
up a different way in the NFL. And
Yeah.
so in terms of like my rookie season, when I look, Mark, my rookie season, all of the draftees and any of the guys that came through free agency, we actually lived all in the same apartment complex. And so I remember
Okay.
that particular time in 1997 where you had guys pulling up with all types of vehicles, the best vehicles off the car lot, and so you're trying to realize like, hold on, like I know we're on the same team, and I know we're gonna go
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
practice the same way, but there's some things that are slightly different, between some of the guys that were picked very high
Did I just
in the
ride?
draft.
Did I just ride a bike here? Did I
Yes.
just ride a bike? Did I just come in on a skateboard?
Yeah.
What's happening
Not only
right
the
now?
skateboard,
Yeah.
did I just catch a ride? Let me catch a
Yeah.
ride
Oh,
to work.
that. Yeah. That too. That too. All right. Let's shout out some more names here, Priest. You hit this next one. This name is awesome, man, and it's fitting for the position they played.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this, man. It's Willie Thrower. What a name, and you just have to imagine,
Willie
yes,
Thrower.
yes, what position, obviously, would Willie Thrower be playing, right? He's the first African American quarterback in the NFL. And so Willie Thrower, Michigan State. Oh, he's a Spartan. So obviously, man, I think that Kenneth Walker the third, I think they've got definitely something
Yes.
in common, right? It's go green for those guys, but he played for the
Yep.
Chicago Bears in 1953. So exciting last name also, and very fitting for a quarterback.
That's right. All right. Next, I'm going to shout out Burl Toler. He's the first African American official. And Burt Toler went to the San Francisco University, and he was a field judge and a head linesman from 1965 to 1989. So shout out to Burl Toler breaking the barrier there for the referees.
Well, there's so many names, and so we're not going to be able to get to all of them. But I'm kind of skipping down, and I'm going back to another quarterback that's kind of further
Okay.
down on our list, and that's Doug Williams, right? First African American
Nice.
starting quarterback in a Super Bowl, and Doug Williams. Washington Redskins. We all know they went to the Super Bowl, and we also know that what occurred for him as a player and as a quarterback, and obviously as a African American starting at quarterback, and getting that win. So pretty excited for Doug Williams, pretty exciting, man.
I distinctly remember that. I was, let's see, what year was it? Was that
I
89,
think they're 86
86, 86?
or 87,
So I think I was
87.
I was 8 years old. I distinctly remember that, and he was great, man. And he threw to Art Monk, if I remember correctly, back then. I used to love Art Monk. In fact, when we were playing on the playground in grade school, I used to pretend I was Art Monk. I was like, I want to be Art Monk, man. This guy's awesome. And so I always slotted out as a receiver, and I wanted to run out there and catch the ball. That was the position I always wanted to play.
Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Yeah, Doug Williams. And then the Redskins won it 2 years in a row, right? Mark Rippon came in, I think, the next year, and they won it yet again.
And what I was gonna say, you're talking about your early memories of the Redskins, and I'm saying, of course, I'm a Fort Smith, Arkansas guy, right? Parents in the military, ended up in San Antonio. So being in Texas, the two games that we had on TV, if you were to turn it on, was going to be obviously the Houston Oilers at that time, or the Dallas
Yes.
Cowboys. And so I didn't have a lot of watching NFL games of the Redskins growing up, right? Obviously. But so my earliest days that I can remember about the Redskins is Tecmo Bowl. Man, I don't know if you remember
Oh,
that.
sure.
That,
Hut, 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 hut,
yes.
hut, 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 hut.
So playing Tecmo Bowl, which was a game online, that we play, a video game. Obviously not online at that
Yeah,
time, but a video game.
Nintendo. Yeah, Tecmo Bowl
Yeah.
Nintendo.
So
It was
that's my
awesome.
earliest times. I remember all the players that you talk about, like Doug Williams and Art Monk.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how I can relate to the Redskins, of course, during that time. I was born in '73, right? So I was just hitting my teens, when they were coming around.
Super cool. And yeah, for all those kiddos out there, there wasn't access to stuff. The only way we knew who was playing for what team is you had two things you could do. One, play Tecmo Bowl, like you said, or collect football cards.
There you go. That's it.
If you didn't do either of those two things, you didn't have a clue who was on the Houston Oilers, right?
That's right.
Like, what business did I have knowing Steve Largent played wide receiver for the Seahawks? Why would I know that? Because you collected cards, right? Or you played Tecmo Bowl.
There you go.
That was the way you did it. That's the way you did it. All right, I want to shout out Franco Harris.
Yes.
And the reason I want to shout out Franco Harris, even though he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a pretty big rival of my Browns back then, is I actually was very fortunate enough to have the opportunity to spend some time with Franco Harris at one of my old jobs as a radio host. Franco Harris came on my show, and I got to talk to him about his legendary career and what he does for the people in Pittsburgh and the community and all that stuff. And he couldn't have been any nicer, super cool guy. And I can't say it out loud, Priest.
Okay.
But I asked him off the record, did you catch that ball?
Uh-oh.
Did that ball touch the ground?
Yeah.
And he just looked at me, Priest. He smiled and didn't say a word.
You'll never know.
So, you never know. He just looked at me and gave me that look like, you'll never know. So I'm going to shout out Franco Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers running back, obviously a legend. He was the first African-American to win the Super Bowl MVP back in 1975. And what an awesome dude, man. And a cool role model for the kids, Franco Harris.
Absolutely. Yeah, so let's move on, man. The next one, Ozzie Newsome. I was going to let you throw this one in here. But Ozzie Newsome, first African-American general manager. Ozzie Newsome, Baltimore Ravens, 2002. He also had an opportunity when I came through the ranks of the Baltimore Ravens, Ted Marchibroda being one of the oldest coaches at that particular time. They gave me definitely an opportunity, and definitely Shaq Harris. He was also one of the individuals at that time that also was very influential in getting me there with the Baltimore Ravens. And so Ozzie Newsome was there, and had to get him to vouch for me. And I think once they saw me, practicing and saw that, this guy doesn't mind getting punished and beat around by the, top defense during this time with Ray Lewis and guys. And so as much punishment as I took, I think Ozzie Newsome said, we got to get Priest a shot. You know what I mean? Like, we dragged him through the mud through all these practices, and so I think it's about time to give him an opportunity. So yeah, shout outs to Ozzie Newsome, being very influential in terms of getting me into that starting position in 1998.
I love it.
Well, we're talking about quarterbacks, and we've had a chance to talk about head coaches. There's two other head coaches that, of course, that, after Art Shell, and you can keep going down the list of different coaches, but Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith, definitely have to mention these two coaches as well. I think just their influence in the league and how even after their career as coaches, they continue to be very influential, especially Tony Dungy, in terms of him being very, very one of the coaches that was very specific in having some traumatic instances within his own family, and then also being able to be a spokesman in terms of mental health and encouraging players that now we know mental health is very, very hot topic now in this day, but definitely during this time, Indianapolis Colts, obviously with Tony Dungy, and of course and with Chicago Bears, Lovie Smith with the Chicago Bears, were the first African-American head coaches to face each other in the Super Bowl. So that was pretty exciting for that matchup during that time.
Absolutely. And boy, were there a lot of good players on the field that game, man. A lot of Hall of Famers on the field that game. Very cool. Look, there are an infinite number of people we could name that had a huge role in changing not only the landscape of the NFL, but broke down walls and barriers, as we celebrate Black History Month. And Priest, I appreciate you speaking on it, and I appreciate you taking the time to let us know about your experience and how you saw that not only in real time, but you worked directly with some of these people, including Ozzie Smith, Ozzie Newsome. So very, very cool. All right, Bet365, Priest. It's never ordinary, and it's time for the big game, my friend. Here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. This is it. I can't imagine what it's like to be getting ready for this game from a player's perspective, from a coach's perspective. I don't have a dog in this fight. Browns have never even been to the Super Bowl, so I don't even know what this feeling is for a Patriots fan or a Seahawks fan. But on Sunday, February 8th, and look, the Patriots are technically the home team. Do you even know how this works, by the way, Priest?
You got to tell me
how they
share with me.
You want me to tell you?
You got an insight, Mark?
Yeah, I didn't even know this myself. I had to look this up because I'm like, why are the Patriots the home team? Like, it's not. Did it have something to do with like a better record? Or was it like head-to-head matchups against common teams or something? It's none of that. It's as simple as this: the AFC gets the even numbers, and the NFC gets the odd numbers. So that means the Patriots are the home team, and they're going to be out in the San Francisco area in Santa Clara. So hopefully they'll get some good weather. And as I mentioned, the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. All right, Priest, let's dive in. You ready to make some picks, my friend?
Yeah, I'm ready. This is going to be exciting because this is the last game. So there's no other picks after this.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see if
there's
we
no
can
more
get these
picks.
right.
Yeah, you need to get these right, Priest. You're trailing me by 5 points. But I've set this up so that you can maybe play a little catch up here.
There we go.
But first, let's make some picks. Let's start with TD scores, potential TD scores, and we'll zero in on Seattle. I know you're a fan, and I know I'm a fan. Running back Kenneth Walker III. Does Kenneth Walker III get into the end zone? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because he's playing the best ball right now, not only as a running back, but just as a position period in postseason and during the playoffs. He's put up the numbers. He's done he's been very detailed in the running game. I think that just what they're doing as far as a front line, I had a chance to also watch some additional film on Seattle, and their front line, what they're very good at is they're able to stack and double team up to the second level. And so if they're able to do that, and the way that Kenneth Walker runs the ball, he always runs with his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, which gives him an opportunity to go left, right, or just continue downhill. So if he's able to continue to run the same way and the line is able to be just as detailed, I'm going to tell you he's going to end up in the end zone, not once, but twice.
Oh, Priest is saying 2 times for Kenneth Walker III. I like the sound of that. Okay, I want to ask you next about Jaxon Smith-Njigba, okay? JSN, does he get into the end zone? If you're giving 2 to Kenneth Walker, are we giving at least 1 to JSN?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
They're 2 top clutch players for Seattle. They definitely are going to have the ball, and the ball's going to end up in their hand one way or another. The way that Jaxon was actually able to run his routes, he can beat you deep. He can run the crossing routes. He's very technical when he can come out of the backfield and still beat you and get the ball. And so definitely I feel like he'll score. And I think he might be one of the first scorers, obviously, for Seattle. I think it'll come off a pass, actually, to Jaxon.
Okay, you think he's going to score early? I was hoping he was going to score late in hopes that he'd be my guy that would get me that octopus bet that I made. I need someone to get me an octopus this game. So hopefully it's JSN. And shout out to his parents who named him Jaxon, Jaxon. Super cool way to spell Jackson. I love that.
Yes.
All right. Of the other Seahawk players, specifically receivers.
Yes.
AJ Barner, Cooper Kupp, Rashid, Shaheed. Do you think any of them have the potential to score? AJ Barner, Cooper Kupp, or Rashid Shaheed? And If so, who has the best chance?
Yeah, I think the best chance is going to be Rashid Shaheed. I think he'll have an
Okay.
opportunity to obviously get into the end zone. It'll be pretty exciting that if he's able to do that. But let's just take it from this. We already know the top two players for Seattle that are going to be making the end zone call and be
Yep.
checking in, and I think Shaheed will get an opportunity as well.
Okay. All right. 4 TDs. I like it. 4 TDs for Seattle you're predicting so far. I'm keeping a mental note here so we can, when we predict our final scores, you got to be at least at
Well, you see where I'm going, Mark, in terms of predicting the
I
score.
do.
Yeah, Seattle's
I
putting up
do.
the numbers, so I'm going to let you know what my score is going to be. I can't wait to unveil this.
Okay. Look, man, don't sit on the Patriots defense, man. They're better than we think, but I remember last week I think I mentioned this was going to be a high-scoring game. I really do feel that. All right, let's flip the coin over to New England. Rhamondre Stevenson. Do you think he's going to find the end zone?
Yep. So, well, here's the thing. I really feel that because he's the starting running back, he's going to have a number of opportunities to. But I believe that New England, I think they restrict the running game. I don't think they're going to lean on the running game. I think they're obviously going to lean on Drake Maye as far as being that leader and throwing the ball
Okay.
to get them downfield to score. Unlike situations where you have Stevenson, you have Henderson, so you have an opportunity where there's one or two backs that could potentially score for New England, knowing that Stevenson is getting the bulk of those carries, but I don't think they lean on him enough in order to get him into the end zone. So I'm going to say that is a no-go for Stevenson in the end
No
zone.
touchdowns for Stevenson. I have the same feeling as you, Priest. I think if they are close, like if they're in the red zone, I feel like it's going to be one of those play action passes and Drake Maye runs it in. And unfortunately, Stevenson and Henderson, they don't get the call for the 6 points. I'm with you on that. So you're saying no touchdowns for Stevenson. All right, what about Hunter Henry? Obviously they have receivers, but I feel like Hunter Henry is a primary target for Drake Maye. As we know, he scored plenty of touchdowns for me in fantasy this year. Do you think Hunter Henry finds the end zone this?
I think so. I mean, if you have Drake Maye and he's throwing the ball around, he's going to definitely pick up his target. He's going to go through his progressions, and he'll definitely have several opportunities to hit Hunter Henry. Obviously, Henry being 31 years of age, he's an older guy, So again,
Yeah.
in terms of having that necessarily have that calmness, hey, I'm an older guy. I've got a number of years underneath my belt. He's like, hey, if I get an opportunity in the biggest game there is this year to get into the end zone, I think Hunter Henry is going to make himself available. And again, he's a big target, so he's definitely able to post up and get his position to get a catch in the end zone.
Agreed. I think Hunter Henry's getting in the end zone as well, and I think it's going to be on a fake run play, a little dump off to the side, and it's the one defensive mistake that Seattle makes, and Hunter Henry's going to be wide open in the corner of the end zone.
Well,
I
if
feel
there's
that in my
anything that
bones.
Seattle has learned from obviously from watching film is that if they do not put someone to shadow Drake Maye, there's one linebacker, right? There's one DB or nickelback that's going to say, hey, when we call this play, we don't care what happens to the receiver in front of you. We want to make sure that somebody is spying on Drake Maye. And so if they allow Drake Maye, obviously, to have 10 yards and 15-yard runs from scrambling, it's going to be a very long day, very difficult in terms of field position, where it can change very quickly if you got a running back that can break runs for 15 to 20 yards. But if they spy him, it's a different story. And now it's going to force New England to have to go through those progressions and see if they can get an open guy as a receiver to catch the ball for Drake.
Okay, well, speaking of receivers, of these 3 receivers for the Patriots, who do you think has the best chance to get in the end zone? Diggs is the big target, but let's not forget about Boutte. And Mack Hollins seems to show up when people forget his name, man. It's that simple, You're going to be focused on Diggs. You're going to be focused on Boutte. Maybe this is Mack Hollins to have like a surprise big game. Who knows? Who's the receiver for the Patriots we got to watch out for and has the best chance to get 6?
Yeah, so I agree with you. Stefon Diggs definitely is the biggest target. He's shown that in situational red zone areas, he's able to pick up the ball either on a 5-yard, 8-yard run, a crossing route. Diggs will run a dig. Also, if he's got to get open, right? But what I've always said is that when all the spotlight and all of the fanfare is around one particular guy, it's always the guy guys that are sitting in the shadows that end up being, those key players. So I think Kayshon definitely has an opportunity
Okay.
obviously to get a touchdown, to sneak in a touchdown, right?
Okay. So not return of the Mack. You don't think Hollins is going to get some action? I feel like he's going to have a sneaky big game. Like maybe he doesn't get in the end zone, but I feel like he's going to have like 80 yards. You know what I mean? Maybe it comes off one big play or something, but I feel like he's going to tally some like yardage and he's going to get close to 100. I feel like Mack's going to be a factor.
Yeah, well, I can tell you one thing. The Patriots are going to be limited because, again, the balanced attack of Seattle offensively between throwing the ball, running the ball, a very dominant running game, the way that Kenneth Walker has performed here in postseason, they're not going to have many opportunities. So the few that they have, they better take advantage of it because I'm telling you, a balanced attack that Seattle has approached this postseason with has definitely shown up very big for them, and they have the potential, I think, to run the board in this Super Bowl game.
Okay, all right, man. You're making it pretty clear. You're not hiding it as much as I thought you were going to, Priest. I think I know where you're going. And we don't know what's up with Drake Maye's shoulder either. That's kind of floating out there. So speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about them, all right? We got Sam Darnold and Drake Maye. Both have had pretty exceptional seasons. I feel like Sam Darnold was a little more consistent, and boy, did he come into his stride at the end of the year, whereas Drake Maye was kind of trending down towards the end of the year. And even in the playoffs, not having the best games, but that Patriots defense was able to hold off the opponents just enough, and some bad weather also played in their favor as well. So QB over under 225 yards. Let's start with Sam Darnold. Do you think he's going to throw for more or less than 225 yards?
Sam Darnold definitely is going to throw for more.
Okay. You think he gets 275?
I'm thinking he's going to go over 300 passing yards.
300. Okay, so he's going over 300. Okay, I like that. What do you 315?
I'm thinking
How high?
No, I'm thinking about 325.
Okay, that's a big game in the air. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. Very big game for those guys.
All right, love that. All right, what about Drake Maye? Over under 225 yards. You said they weren't going to lean on the run game that much, so you think he's getting over that?
Well, I think he's going to be under, and the reason for that is one, they're not able to really lean on the running game, as I said. Obviously, Stevenson is going to be limited in terms of his attempts. It'll be very shocking that Stevenson now comes out with close to 25 carries. I don't see that happening. I see at least 40 to 45 throws by Drake, to be able to push his team down the field. That's what I'm thinking. All right.
Okay.
But we'll see.
So Drake Maye, you think he's going to have to throw this ball around a ton, but be under 225 yards. So I'm feeling some picks in there, Priest. He's going to be throwing some interceptions. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think so. It's one of those things where neither team is thinking their quarterback is intentionally going to throw the ball in the other opponent's hand, right? But we can also go back to several games before between Seattle and obviously the Patriots and Malcolm Butler, what he did on the 1 yard line when Beast Mode should have been given the ball. They didn't go with
absolutely,
and they ended up throwing a pick. New England did. So, that's one of the things that Seattle ended up throwing the pick, and then obviously Malcolm Butler intercepted it for New England Patriots. So things can happen, but I don't think either team is looking like that's what they're anticipating their quarterbacks. Throwing a pick. Now it can happen. Obviously,
I hear
defense definitely still. It's defense still wins championships, and it's going to take either defense to be able to stand up and to really be dominant and control the field position on the field. So we'll see what takes place.
Okay. And if people remember when we asked Beast Mode, if he had the opportunity to do one more play and run it in for the game-winning touchdown, he was like, hell no. But he would ask for the game ball, which I thought was very funny.
There you go.
Very funny. Hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this, Priest. I'm going to ask you a who will question. Who will be the game's leading receiver? Do you think that's going to be a Patriot or a Seahawk, and who specifically?
Obviously, Seattle, their number one receiver, Jaxon, he's definitely going to be the leading receiver. There's like I said, there's always an opportunity for one of the receivers sitting in the shadows to perform and have this great big breakout game. But I just think the consistency we've seen with Seattle, their balanced attack offensively with their receivers, and then also with the running game, giving it to Jaxon.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to double team him, and if you do, that just opens up the field somewhere else to take advantage. So it'll be a risky play to double team him. Okay, who will be the game's leading rusher?
Well, come on, this is the easy one. Come on, this is the easy one, Mark. Kenneth Walker.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
K9.
Yes.
K9 is going to be the leading rusher. Obviously, and I'm going to tell you why, because Charbonnet, obviously with the injury with the Seahawks additional running backs, the running game has kind of played its toll all year long, where there was this Charbonnet, then it was this Kenneth Walker, and they were very close in rushing during the regular season at the end of the day. But now you get into the postseason, you see a different K9, a different Kenneth
I
Walker
know.
III. And I keep telling you,
blowing up.
watch how he approaches the line of scrimmage. He's a running back that runs with his shoulders square, and with that gives him any running back in the NFL. If you know how to run that way, and you approach the line of scrimmage with your shoulders square, it gives you a three-way out. You either can go downhill, you can stick your foot in the ground, and you can bounce left, or you can bounce right and hit to perimeter. We saw him do it several times. Look at his last 4 touchdowns in the postseason, and
Yep.
you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going with Kenneth Walker. There's no sharing the ball. There's no Charbonnet. There's no additional back that has to help him out, right? It's all K9. And so he's going to definitely have plenty of attempts because they're such a well-balanced offense.
And say it with me. Not Kenneth Walker the first.
That's right.
Not Kenneth Walker the second.
That's right.
But Kenneth Walker the third.
There we go. K9.
All right, very cool. All right, here we go. Final score, Priest. We're going to pick the final score here. And the reason we're going to do that is because that's going to help with our overall picks in this game we've been playing. I don't know how I've been doing this, but I haven't missed a pick yet, which is crazy. So I'm destined to probably mess up the final game, and that opens up the door for you to catch up. I'm 5 points ahead of you. But we're going to go ahead and pick our winners for the game. That'll be worth 5 points. And then we're going to pick the final score. And the combined total score, whoever gets closer, has an opportunity to win 10 points. So let's start with the winner. And I'm going to let you pick first. And I'm automatically going to pick who you don't pick. So go ahead, say it. It's pretty obvious. But who do you think's winning this?
Seattle Seahawks. There you go.
Okay, Seattle Seahawks.
Yes.
There you go. I agree with you, but for the sake of the game, I will take the Patriots, and that will be my 5-point wager. Maybe they'll come through. Who knows? But if they don't, you'll get those 5 points, and then this is how we're going to do the 10 points, okay? So go ahead and give me your final score of the game, and we'll total that up, and whoever gets closer will get the final 10 points. So what do you think the final score of this game is going to be?
I have a final score that I have in mind, but I have something even better for you, Mark.
Okay, what's that?
I
Priest?
know that I'm entering in this game and obviously getting through postseason, right? But we all know you can't finish on just what you did in the AFC and NFC championship. You got to go to the big show. So what I'm proposing to you, and we still can keep your bets, but I'm proposing to you that I'm going to say what the score is going to be with Seattle. And not only will they win that by that amount of points, but you can take the points that they won by and add that to my score and let me win off of that as well.
Okay. You really want to come? You want to be the comeback kid here? I feel
There
you.
you
I
go,
feel you.
you know. I've been the comeback king all my life, you know, in terms of bouncing back from injuries and the naysayers. And
Yes.
you're not big enough. You're not fast enough. So in terms of being a comeback, man, that's right down in my wheelhouse. I definitely know.
That's on your. That's on your resume.
There you
It's
go.
on your resume. But Priest, I took your advice. I've been going to the meetings. I've been prepping well. I got my tickets in order for this big game. I know who's sitting on the couch next to me when I watch this thing. I know what we're having for dinner.
That's right.
I'm ready to go, man. Don't count me out. But this will be my first, you know, in air quotes, and this will be your next one. So you've been there and done that, so you're the vet. So what do you think this final score is going to be?
I'm going 35-17. Seattle.
35-17.
Oh, it's going to be a dominant performance by Seattle.
The total blowout. Total blowout. All right. I'm going to go 28-13.
28-13.
I'm going to go 28-13.
That's not too
Yeah.
far from me. I mean, you just going.
No. But Look, I agree. I think Seattle's going to get 4 touchdowns. I think the Patriots are going to score first, and it's going to be on a field goal. And then I think Drake May's going to run in for a touchdown, and that's going to get it to 10. And then I think the game's still going to be kind of close at this point, and the Patriots are going to kick another field goal. They're just going to need to take the points. It's going to be a long field goal, and that's going to get them to 13, and then Seattle's just going to shut it down second half. They're not getting any more points. I think the Patriots score 13 points in the first half and don't score again for the rest of the game. That's how I feel. So 28-13 for me. And you said, what did you say? 30? What did you say?
Yeah,
3,240.
Yeah, 35-17. And the reason why I say that is that if New England doesn't put another big down guy, defensive lineman on that front line, on their front four, if they don't add an additional big guy, they're going to be in trouble. There's no way that they can run a dime or a nickel package against or have 4 linebackers with 3 down linemen. There's no way that New England can do that and be successful if they're going to approach the Seattle front line, because when you run the plays that Seattle has done here, they're double teaming up to the linebacker position. You better have another big guy with his hand in the dirt, New England, or you will be in trouble.
Yes. All right. So 35-17 from Priest, 28-13 from me. Your point total is 52. Mine's going to be 41. All I can say is good luck, Priest. I haven't been wrong yet.
We'll see.
I haven't been wrong yet.
I can't wait.
I haven't been wrong yet. All right. I'm excited to see what the outcome of the game is. Look, Priest, it's time to get to our guest here, Willie McGinest, 3-time winner with the Patriots. Can the Patriots get another one and bring it home for me, or will the Seahawks get it done and win it for Priest in our little fun bet competition? But look, so excited we're at this point. Priest, I hope you and your family, your friends, everybody enjoys the big game, and we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely, man. I'm just shouting out K9, Sam Darnold. Man, y'all go do y'all thing, and I'll see y'all on the other end of that 60 minutes holding that trophy, baby.
You just want to see me do 300 push-ups, man.
There we
Is that
go.
it? And but we agreed in a calendar year, right? A calendar year.
You got to give me that all in one day.
All in one day. Oh
All in
man,
one
I better
day.
start practicing.
You can break it up, but you got to give it all in one.
Break it up. So that's 300 individual push-ups. So that's one every 10 minutes, I think. I'm going to make this happen.
Do says 10, do says 25. You got it.
All right, I got it. But I have a feeling you're going to be doing the push-ups. All right, here we go. Willie McGinest, everybody, on the home stretch.
There we go.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
All right, Priest, it's time for our special guest this episode. I mean, I guess it's a giveaway. He's already on screen.
Yes, indeed.
But look, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowl selection, PFWA All-Rookie Team in 94. If you know, you know. New England Patriots All 90s, All 2000s, and All Dynasty team. Right? Because one wasn't enough. Let's do all 3. New England Patriots Hall of Fame, 2-time first team All Pac-10, most career postseason sacks ever, and most sacks in a single postseason game. He is Willie McGinest, and he also plays him in real life. What's up, sir? How you doing?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
It's good to meet you. Thank you for joining us here on the home stretch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate
It's good to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's turn on the Wayback Machine.
Okay.
As we like to do with all of our guests. So we're out in California right now. This is your home state. You were born and raised here. So like paint the picture of your childhood, what it was like growing up out here, and what led you ultimately to become a professional athlete.
Cali, man. Grew up here. I started actually playing football because my mom signed me up. My initial sport was baseball, T-ball.
Okay.
So I started with baseball, and when you grow up in the neighborhood, there's a lot going on, a lot of things happening. So moms took me, signed me up for football. I was football, basketball, baseball. I never had a summer off. So I started playing football probably around the age of 6, 7 years old. when I started.
So that was your mom, man.
That was mom.
Throwing you in the fire.
Yeah, throwing
She's
me
like,
in the
you need to get hit, Willie.
No, you need to stay active, and you need to stay out the way.
Yeah,
you know how it is. When
sure.
When you're not active, you into something else. And you know, we pretty much started off like that, and then going to Long Beach Poly High School was the mecca. We're up there still, I think, top 3, top 4 with players in the NFL. I went there, played basketball, stopped playing baseball. It was a little slow for me. Started playing football, basketball there. So I was a dual sport athlete, had dual scholarship at USC. And
incredible.
I ended up going to USC and became a Trojan. It was in my backyard. My parents can afford to come to the games. At the time, we couldn't fly around the country. Didn't have it like that. And then got drafted ultimately to the Patriots, number 4 pick overall, and then that's where it started.
Yeah, that's insane, man. So baseball falls to the wayside, football full on. Did you have an idea of like what position you wanted to play when you, or where did they throw you?
You know, when you're young, man, you play everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you do it all. But as you mature and you get older, I was an outside linebacker, defensive end. I like the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. You don't like throwing the ball. Priest loves throwing the ball, right?
Everybody
Priest?
want to play quarterback.
He loves flea flickers.
Everybody want to play quarterback
until you throw an interception.
Yeah, but he's had some of those. You know what I mean? Like those running backs, when you see them take that glove off, you're like, oh, it's a halfback pass. You got to hear it comes. Oh yeah, I mean, but not me. I was a defensive guy.
Yeah, you wanted to track it down. You wanted to go get that ball. That's really cool. I respect that. So you decide to sign for USC. Were you a fan? You know, being out here in California, is it always the USC, UCLA, or were you interested in getting out of town? You know, being that you grew up here.
I had thoughts. I mean, Colorado was the next school up. I did the whole recruiting thing. I kind of got burnt out. I got burnt out quick. Mark Carrier and some other guys went to USC, so I was already aware. They was in my backyard. I knew about the school. They were winning. It was a great football team at the time, and they was winning and great education. And there's a guy by the name of Lucas who was recruiting, who was getting a lot of kids out of California to go to Colorado, and they had just won the Orange Bowl. They had a great team, and there was a lot of Cali kids on their squad. So I was going back and forth there. I canceled Notre Dame, canceled Miami. It's crazy.
Wow.
I was just tired of doing all that. Like, you would go, you would eat, being away, and I was just like, for me, I wanted to be somewhere where my parents can come to games.
Yeah.
And not have to get on a plane. So it made sense that one of the best schools in the country was in my backyard.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty special. So talking about moms, I know we were going way back, man. I'm trying to remember back, when I had an opportunity to start playing football. My experience was a little bit different than yours. So, your mom was approving, I'm assuming. Yep, she was approving.
Yep.
Man, my mom was having no parts of it.
Really?
Yeah. So if it wasn't for my dad, and him really stepping in, for her, she thought I was going to get hurt. I don't have no business playing. Even though she saw me playing, let's say
Sandlot.
Yeah, Sandlot. She see me playing Sandlot. But now it's time to play organized football. And then the funniest thing, man, I had one of the coaches, he had a pickup truck. And he was known for literally so you can't do this today. But back then, there was a coach that had a pickup truck, and he would come around the neighborhood, knock on the door, ask your parent. I'll bring him to practice. I'll make sure he comes back.
All the coaches had pickup trucks. We rode to practice in the pickup truck.
In the back,
and
right?
Had a paper
No top,
route.
no. Yep,
Our coach had a paper route.
That's right. Yeah. And so you could literally get picked up by a coach, and sometimes you didn't even know who the coach was until you met him, until he came and introduced himself to your parents. And so, he'd come up, about 5 or 10 kids jumping in the back of a pickup truck going to practice, and he would always say, Mrs. Morris, I'll pick him up and I'll bring him back. And as long as I do that, can he play football? You know what I mean? So that's how it ended up happening for me, man. Yeah, so it was pretty nice.
That's so fun, man. Yeah, I miss those days. Like you play games and afterwards you celebrate and everyone would be in the back of that truck. Man, it was so dangerous. Like looking back.
That was the best, though.
Yeah, it was so much fun, man.
They didn't have seatbelts in the back.
Yeah, no seatbelts. A lot of bumps on the road. Kids flying out. You just spin around, pick them up, put them back in.
Wait, so Willie, you said something about your high school, Poly.
Yeah.
There's been known to be some pretty significant people that come out of Poly, man. Yeah. So I know Snoop.
If you say entertainment, you got to go with.
You got to go Snoop, right?
He's one. He's probably the biggest.
The biggest one that came out.
Yeah.
Like you said, tons of athletes that come out of the school as well.
Yeah. There's.
So do you follow any of those kids that are playing in the league today?
Well, most recent is Alex Austin. He's with the Patriots. He played cornerback with the Patriots.
Okay.
So I think he's the last Long Beach Poly alumni to come out and go pro.
Okay.
Went to
Perfect.
Oregon State, then
Yeah.
now he's with the Patriots. Went to, ironically, played for my youth football
There you go.
program. He's like my nephew, and now he's playing with the Patriots
Super cool.
where I played.
Yeah.
So that is super cool. And, I have a youth football program, the Long Beach Patriots, that I've had for 21 years
Okay.
that, we started, we're in the Snoop League. So
Gotcha.
we've been around these kids and developing and having a youth football from the ages of, we start at 5 and 6.
Yes.
We go all the way to 13.
Sound like Texas.
Yeah,
Sound
we
like
go all the
Texas.
way to 13. We played in some of those
Yeah.
those tournaments out there
They've
before.
I think in Houston a
Yeah,
couple of times.
yeah.
Several of the teams in California came
Yeah,
out
we
and
came
played.
out there and we played. And Texas, they know. I mean, it's pretty much year round in Texas.
Yeah.
We're not year round. We're not there, but it's pretty much like it's the real deal. And it's
Yeah.
always that competition. Miami, Texas, Georgia, Cali,
There you
like
go.
who's got the best football. So it's always bragging rights. And he knows. He grew up in it.
knows what's up.
Yeah.
Can we just shout Snoop for a second? I mean, does this guy have like a stunt double or multiple stunts?
I
This guy's
know.
in everything, everywhere, all the time. Like
Yeah.
he's at a hockey game, then he's doing Christmas special. He's got football league. Like what?
Halftime shows.
halftime
I mean,
shows,
The
this guy-
Olympics.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, he's big time.
Yeah,
he's
it's
big time.
crazy.
So if I would say entertainer,
Yeah,
it would be Dogg.
sure,
Okay.
Yeah.
sure.
Community wise, what do you think was the driving force that got you involved with the little leagues?
I just think when we do a lot outside of just football, I think it's important when you come out of certain communities to let the kids,
That's
and
right.
you come back, let the kids see you and let them know that you came from where they're coming from. And you may have struggled and dealt with some of the trials and tribulations that they're going through. But regardless, if you stay on the right track, if you do what you're supposed to do, then you can do whatever you want to do. And I always stress that it doesn't have to be sports. It doesn't have to be entertainment. It could be whatever, whatever deems your success, whatever field it is, just put your mind to it and you can achieve it. So I think when they see more of us come back, they be like, hey, I'm from where you from. I grew up right around the corner where you grew
right.
up at.
Mhm.
I went to the same school. I dealt with some of the same things you dealt with, whatever the case may be. But, you gotta give hope. And it ain't always saying, oh, I'm gonna write a check or I'm gonna give money or I'm gonna do this. It's just your presence a lot of times that pushes these kids to the next level.
Now, outside of going back and having the youth football league, any other community endeavors that you participated in?
Yeah,
support?
man. We every Thanksgiving we feed families.
Okay.
We team up with the local grocery stores, and we give families $100 vouchers, and we feed families. We just don't give turkeys. Christmas we teams up with Legend. I'm an investor in Legends apparel and brand and lifestyle brand, and we give toys and clothes. And Christmas we team up with the Boys and Girls Club. I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
I'm in the Hall of Fame, the Boys and Girls Club Hall of Fame. So I team up with them and we give clothes, we give toys, we give this. I've done the Children's Hospital in Long Beach. I mean, as you notice, as soon as you're in the NFL, they have these, these different things you do charity wise
That's
on
right.
your days off. And I started, when I was drafted in '94. So everything I used to do on the East Coast with in New England and in
Okay.
Cleveland, I did at home.
Duplicate it. You
Yeah,
just
because it's
duplicate it.
important.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
this is where I'm from. So when you come back home, whatever it is, you go, you support, you show up, you let kids that maybe don't have those opportunities. I've done a lot of educational charities where we give away scholarships for books and for non-athletes. This is just for
Gotcha. Yeah.
people who need help academically to get into colleges, for support and things like that. So, I over the years, man, since '94, there's countless charities we've been involved in, our foundation and different things of that nature.
Yeah, Mark. So, when it comes to doing charitable work,
Mhm.
I think that, similar to what Willie said, it was one thing that I started doing my charitable work, but I really piggybacked off of some of the veterans that were there
Yeah.
in Baltimore during my time there. And so as I'm watching them getting invited out to the different things that they have going on, I just decided, very similar to Willie, let me bring back to San Antonio some things and
Yeah.
different efforts, So I started off, with an educational foundation and started off with the football camps and things of that nature. And then it just kind of carried on to where it was more educational with scholarships. And so now one of the things that we do now is, we have a barbershop back home in San Antonio. And so we provide haircuts as
There you go.
well, getting the kids
So
looking
awesome.
looking dapper and fresh and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. We also bring in braiders as well, and they can also do some of the female haircuts as well. So I think it's really big, giving back to your community,
Absolutely.
like Willie said, man. And so, for me, and I don't know about you, Willie, but for me, my biggest takeaway, when it comes to like working with the youth, is really knowing that I have a platform, and I think the league provides that.
It does.
But it was something interesting. Had a chance to talk with Marshawn. And Marshawn, we talked about some of the things that when you leave the league, is there anything you wish you could do different? And for Marshawn, he said, which is pretty interesting. He said that I wish I would have took advantage of some of the opportunities, right?
Yeah,
So
you said
as
you took a lot for granted.
yeah, I took a lot, took a
Like-
lot for granted, and I wish I took advantage of some of the opportunities. So let me ask you this: do you feel like after leaving the league, there was opportunities that you probably didn't take advantage of, where the door was shut and you couldn't go back in and
That-
open those doors?
That is interesting because I think when we're playing, we some players think like this is it, this is gonna last forever.
Yeah.
It's all I have to do.
Yeah.
And your responsibility is a little bit bigger than that. Although, we say, hey, you're not necessarily a role model or this or that. This is my job, but you kind of are just because of the platform that you're on. And I've been knowing Marshawn since he was young,
Okay.
since he was at Cal and everything
Yeah,
else.
wow.
So I knew his demeanor. I knew his mindset. It's like I'm a football player, and that's what I do. Everything else, I don't give a what.
Yeah.
And I think now you see that other side of his personality. Now he loves the media. Now he's in the
Yeah.
media. Now he's doing
It's funny.
movies and he's doing commercials and he's doing all this. And before he wanted no parts of it. But you got to understand, like, the football part don't last forever.
Yes.
It doesn't last forever. So those
Right.
relationships are important. And I think to a degree, I took advantage of a lot of the relationships, but to another degree, and I know you were like this as well, I didn't want to not be focused on my craft and what I'm supposed to do, because when you're not performing at a certain level or something's not happening,
That's the first thing they
that's
point
the
to.
first thing they're going to
Yeah.
point at.
Mark, that's
Like-
the first thing they point
Like
to.
you distracted over there? Yeah,
You're
you're
distracted.
distracted.
You're,
yeah.
you're not putting it all in. You got all these things going. You got commercials. You over here. You doing this.
Yeah.
You're not spending as much time in football. And that's the one thing I never wanted coaches, my peers, and nobody else to think that I was distracted by the outside noise. But at the same time, there's some huge relationships and resources available
Mhm.
while
Got
you're
to plant
playing.
those seeds.
And you
for
got to
later
plant the
on.
seed. You
Yep.
got to take advantage of it. And I would tell all players,
Yeah.
like, stay focused, keep doing what you're doing, but hey, go to some of those events, rub elbows with some of those
Mhm.
business people.
Say
Understand,
hi.
yeah, because when football is over, you got to figure out what's your next journey, what you want to do.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Willie. So, in terms of your next journey, figuring it out after football, what would you say is the number one thing for a player to consider? Now, I'll tell you mine. I would say the number one thing for a player to consider when he retires is he needs to decide where he's going to stay. The reason why I say where home is going to be, where you're going to focus on your family,
Plant those roots.
where you're going to
Yep.
plant your roots. The reason why I say that is because if you're sitting around and traveling for the next 5-6 years after you get out the league,
It's tough.
boy, those relationships, they're gone. You didn't plant those roots. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, I would say definitely that would be the number one thing, is for them to figure out where they're going to live, where they're going to
Yeah.
stay, and go ahead and make that home.
And then the other thing is, a lot of players, you think about what you graduate in. Well, a lot of times, like I got into media. I didn't go to school for communications. I went for public administration. But because I was doing the interviews, I was probably one of the spokespersons for the team, or a captain, or they would come to you, or whatever the case may be. I lived in California, one of the biggest media, out networks and outlets, and whatever the case, markets. So we had, Fox and everything here, NFL Network, and all these things here. So in the off season, hey, why don't you come into the studio and go on air? Why don't you do this and why don't you do that? The next thing you know, you're comfortable. You're starting to like it. Now they have like the academies for
Mhm.
media and all those different things. But you got to figure out what you like. Like what you're passionate about. Like for me, it was business. it's production, it's different things like that. So in my mind, I had certain things that I was attracted to that I really liked. That I said if I wasn't, and to your point or to your question, I think as a player, when you never know when it's going to end, but if at some point ask yourself, if I'm not playing football, what would I love doing, or what do I want to be doing? And if your education doesn't dictate that, which a lot of times your degree don't determine where you're going to be doing in life anyway, unless it's specific. But ask yourself, what do I want to do? What do I love doing that doesn't feel like work? And then I think you start there and you start to take advantage of those opportunities or those relationships.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I love getting a vibe check on your draft day experience and like getting into the NFL. So what was that like for you? I mean, you were drafted so high. Did you feel extra pressure from that? Were you expecting that? I feel like most athletes are just like, yeah, obviously I'm the best. Like I'm going to be the number one pick.
Nah.
But for you, paint the picture? What was going on surrounding your draft day?
Confusing.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was confusing because I elected not to go to New York. I stayed here and had a party with all friends and family. But I thought I was going to Dallas with the 5th pick. So I had 3 representatives at my party from Dallas because they said they were going to trade Alvin Harper, the receiver, I think, to the Rams and take the 5th pick. So I thought I was going to Dallas. So I was kind of already having a good time. The representatives was there, the hats was there. And I got a call from New England, Parcells, with the 4th pick. And we had one meeting on my visit. We watched some tape. We made some jokes. And he said, which Willie McGinest am I going to get? The Willie McGinest that I saw play in this game or I saw play in this game, which the Penn State game. And I said, Penn State game, of course. And he laughed. That was it. We didn't have a bunch of phone calls.
Nothing else.
We didn't have my agent didn't talk to anyone. That was it. So when the phone rang, I'm like, going to Dallas, but it was the 4th pick and not the 5th pick. So then I got confused. It was Parcells. And he was like, hey, you ready to be a Patriot? You ready to come to New England? And in my mind, I was like, Dad, what the fuck is New England? Like, I was still young.
Where is this on the map?
I was still young. I was like, New England. I was like, all right, Drew. I played against Drew, Washington State. He's the 1st pick last year. I was like, oh, all right.
So
and then I see the Dallas Cowboy representative. They get up, grab the hats, and they walk out.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask if they took the hats.
They took the hats? They walked out.
They didn't take the hats, did they?
No, they stormed. I took the hats. They walked out. And I'm talking to Bill, and then I see Jerry Jones slam the phone and everything, and I was just like, wow. It happened. So for me, it was amazing, but it was a little confusing because I thought I was going one place, and I ended up somewhere else, which ended up to be, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it worked out all right. And it's interesting, the parallels of those two teams, because they both did have dynasties, in the end.
They did.
But
and the 90s was right in the middle of Dallas. They was, that's when they was doing.
So it was a win-win for you, I guess. Either way,
it was.
How quick did you find it on the map? Were you like?
It was good, man. Look, hey, it's different. I'm a Cali kid. I'm
checking the weather. You're checking the.
I'm a Cali kid. I don't know about black ice and snowstorms and shoveling and doing all that
outside. Outside.
You got that right. Wow.
Doing all that. So it was definitely a culture shock, but it was great.
Yeah,
it was good for me. I adapted well. It was a sports town. The Celtics was doing well. The Red Sox was doing well. The Patriots started doing well.
Right.
The hockey teams was doing well. So it's definitely a sports town, but it was a culture shock. It was polar opposite of how I grew up and where I came from.
Yeah, so you said earlier, which Willie McGinest am I going to get, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure this out, right? So
wait, how many Willie McGinest are there?
Yeah.
How many are there?
Remember who's asking the question? It's Parcells.
Yeah.
So Parcells asked that, but so I'm going to piggyback on that. I'm trying to figure out when you say which Willie McGinest, there's a linebacker Willie McGinest, and then there's a hand in the ground Willie McGinest, a DN. So
Elephant.
how did you be able to make that transition? You know what I mean? To go from linebacker position and then put that hand in the ground. Which was one that you preferred to be at?
You married it too. So Parcells was used to playing a certain defense, the Giants, Lawrence Taylor and all the guys that he had there, Pepper Johnson, all big,
Yeah.
linebackers. And it was basically a 3-4, a 3-4. And your linebackers was also edge rushers. So remember LT
That's
and those
right.
guys, they was also edge rushers.
Yeah, that bicycle
He
stance.
didn't like to drop a lot, but it was a 3-4. And then I had Pete Carroll. So Pete Carroll came from Charles, Haley and all those guys with, the 49ers. So that's how you start to marry linebacker DN slash, which gives you the elephant position.
Yeah.
So the elephant position is a guy that can stand up, drop into coverage, and on third down, or if you go to a 40 front, which is a 4-3 or whatever the case may be, now he's a defensive end. And because of my weight and my size and length and all those different things, I kind of fit the mold that I could do both. So for me, when and it's funny you asked that, during the draft and the combine and all that, I did both drills.
Okay, did you really?
Absolutely. Because I didn't
That's
want
pressure.
to.
That's a little pressure.
Yeah,
though.
because but what I
It's
didn't
also
want to
just
do,
extra work.
the teams that wanted a linebacker, I didn't want to say, oh, I'm just a DN.
I got you.
Or the teams that needed a DN, I don't want to say, oh, I'm just a linebacker. So I showed that I could do both. I showed I was athletic enough and versatile enough to stand up and play outside linebacker in coverage and understand that side of it. And also, I was physical enough to play the defensive end. You know how it is. Put your hand in it. Now you're going against those, those hogs, and those pulling guards, and fullbacks, and all that. You got to move that weight. So I showed I could do both because strategically, I didn't want to turn either team off that was looking for each. I wanted to say, oh, he could do both.
Yeah. Mark. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to line you up in the backfield. You're
Okay.
going to play my position.
Okay. For what reason? As a
I
decoy? hope a decoy.
Just to be able to
I'm
imagine
more
this.
of a punter kicker, so don't get.
I'm lining you up, right? Running back position, right?
Okay.
You're in the I formation.
Okay.
Tony Richardson is not in front of you. You don't have a fullback.
I don't like where this is
it's
going.
Just you by yourself.
Okay.
Now, who would you want to go against? Willie McGinest, hand in the ground?
Oh, geez. Gotcha.
D-line?
Yep.
Or just right middle linebacker, just standing up? Or standing up on the end?
I mean, look, even if it's 0.0008th of a second extra for him to get his hand off the ground, I got to have him hit with his hand planted.
Hand planted?
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not planted. So at least this is why my dad taught me to be a left-handed batter, because you have an extra step to first base automatically, right?
Okay.
And so you're not coming out of the right side of the batter's box. So like that's how my brain works. I'm thinking, what's the smallest increment of an advantage I can get? So I'd want to see your hand in the ground, I think.
There you go.
All right.
I think I want to see your hand in the
getting
ground.
off, like you don't have to. There's getting off. You're straight. Boom.
Yeah, you're already in there,
There's no
but
wasted steps.
you're low, right? So if you got to decide to
I'm
go
low.
high,
Is that good for you?
it's good for me.
Okay.
I can jump. I can do a somersault.
I'm
Yeah.
6'5".
Yeah, that's what I
you better
said.
have a high vertical.
Yeah, that's what I said. Just imagine 6'5", just standing up.
Look, guys,
just
this
over
is a
the line.
lose-lose
Now
for
this
me.
dude right here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, he did it all.
This is a real Superman here.
He did it all.
Yeah,
He
he did.
was a pain for
Yeah.
a lot of outside backers. And
I want to
DNs.
talk to you about Priest Holmes and
I
facing
know
somebody
we'll
like
get to
that.
it,
Yeah.
But he did what he's describing to you really well.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
that's cool.
well.
That's why I'm trying to feed off that.
Yeah.
But clearly I won't be able to do any of those
Yeah.
things.
You got to
But,
have a certain skill set for that.
Yes.
Did you
indeed.
feel better coming off the ground, or did you feel better, being kind of loose and aware with
Well,
options?
it just depends. Like
you know?
I had to let. I didn't want offenses to recognize if I was rushing or dropping. So
Sure.
I had to kind of give a same, even when I stood up, I gave a same stance like I was coming, and then sometimes I would just bolt out of there.
Yeah.
But it becomes a game of chess. Like they see a certain stance, they're reading us like we read them.
Yep.
Is he light? Is he already turned halfway, ready to give his foot turn, ready to kind of drop out of there? Or if he's leaned in, foot all the way back in a sprinter stance, he's coming. So there's different things, and I think that's what made our defense so tough because we have versatile guys. Mike Vrabel was on the other side of me.
That's
Who's the
right.
head coach, right now. First it was Chris Slade back when you came in, and then Mike Vrabel came over, and he was the other guy, was the head coach of the Patriots now. So you got guys 6'5", 6'6", 250, 260. I was like playing at 267, and now it's like, are they rushing?
Yeah.
Are they dropping? Are they dropping or whatever? And honestly, the offense dictated what we did.
Right. And what's your wingspan? What was your?
I don't know, man. I have my arms are super long.
Yeah, they're crazy
So I
long.
think that's one of the things, Parcells used to talk about as well. He was like those, use your hands, keep people off you.
Yeah, you can press
use
them
the
out.
wing spot, press them away, and don't let them into your legs. You know, they try to cut and do all those other things, and I think that's the makeup that gave me that position, the elephant, because of the length. Like I was saying, the long arms, 6'5". I could add weight, I could shed a little bit of weight, but I was never like super light. I was always 255 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got your answer actually now, Priest.
All
But,
right. What is it?
I'm gonna fake an injury. I'm gonna walk right over to the sideline, or
You
what?
gonna
You tap my
out?
helmet, tap my
You tap
helmet,
out?
be like,
Yeah.
"He's still in the game? Willie's still in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm good."
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Well, let's get into it. You know,
Yeah.
what's it? You know, who were some of the most challenging people you faced? Like the hardest to tackle, or it was all mind games because you were both on the same page, and so it was almost more of a guessing game than it was a skill game with certain players that you faced. And,
Well, like
and then
I
we'll
said,
talk about Priest in particular.
Okay, well, I'll just say he was one of them, and I have to go to the top, like Barry Sanders. Like I played against Barry Sanders, like far as running back, with Danian Thomason.
Team.
I played against Dallas running back
Emmett Smith.
Emmett.
Yeah.
I mean, I played against. We talked about Eddie George, Jerome Bettis. There's so many different styles.
Different style. I was gonna say different
or whatever the
styles.
case may be, but they were all tough. I played against Fred. I played against Marshawn, Fred Taylor, Marshawn Lynch. I played against all these dudes. So
Crazy.
you know, when it comes to running backs, you just had to know who you were going against and what they can do, what they're capable of doing. You mentioned like having to guess and think. Well, that takes you to the quarterback position, right? So you're playing against Peyton Manning. You're playing against Brett Favre. You're playing against Michael Vick.
Different element.
I played against Aikman. Like, go down the line. I played against Montana.
Yeah, wow.
So
you know, I can
so
go down.
awesome.
I can go all the way down. I played
So
against
awesome.
Warren Moon and a lot of these guys. So you know, it every week it was a different task, and you just couldn't. You notice as you game plan, you just can't go out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna play the same way." You can't, because guys are different. You played against Vic at quarterback. You know, you already know you can't rush recklessly. You can't rush up the field. You got to stay in front of them. You got to, speed the power most of the time. You can't give up, big holes in the middle of the line, because if nothing's open, he's gone. And once he gets past that first level, he's out of there. So there's I think we played in probably the toughest, more diverse era of football when we was coming up, just because it was different. The rules were different. The rules allowed you to be more physical and get away with more, and there wasn't a lot of, it was football. It was man ball out there, and the rules wasn't the same, so it was tougher, and you had to understand that, hey, you gotta be ready to go.
And I feel like your era too, it wasn't all in on passing at that time either, right? It was almost balanced. It was almost balanced, right? It could be either a run game or a passing
Well, you
game.
had fullbacks back.
Yeah.
You had fullbacks. That was
You had
different.
fullbacks that
fullbacks.
looked like linemen back then.
Sure. And the tight end position was just developing and becoming a big deal too, right?
You mentioned Richardson, Sam Gash, like all these dudes, man.
Sam
Like I'm
Gash.
like, dudes that came with the neck brace, you already knew their job.
We were just
this
talking
is my
about
job
that.
description.
That's right,
This is what I'm going to do.
Go in there and bang.
We were talking about the neck brace yesterday, remember? How
Yeah.
big, didn't Vrabel rock one? I feel like Vrabel
I had one
rocked
for a
one
while.
too.
He had a stinger, but they gave you that. But you take that off. But I'm just saying, like,
those are fun.
the run game, like it's part of it. And if you look at more the teams that have probably won Super Bowls, they had a dominant run game, or they ran the ball 40% of the time or more. And they had balance. The run opens up everything down the field, and it was tough. It was.
Do you have your favorite sack ever? Was there one particular sack where you're like, yeah, I got you? That one felt good. Might have been meaningless in the game, or it was late, or whatever. But
I always mention Peyton just because, like, he always tried to like outthink you, outsmart you, and figure you out. So when you got him, it was just like.
Yeah, Mr. Audible, right? Every time he gets the line, like just
to get
changing
away
the play 17 times before
just
the
to get
snap.
away
Like,
from, just those type of sacks. Like when you played against the really good quarterbacks, you kind of wanted to get after. I played against Marino.
Sure.
I mean, and that's after Marino had the Achilles tendon. He couldn't really move, but his release. I don't care if you was unblocked. It just seemed like as you was hitting him,
It was
that
out,
ball was coming out, and it was like
and it was gone.
25 yards down the field, a dime.
Wow.
Yeah.
A dime. So, I mean, there's so many guys, so many great guys that I played against, and we battled with that. It's just hard to say, oh well, this because I'll give you another guy or another quarterback, and you'll be like, damn,
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot
that guy.
about
Yeah.
him, that guy.
Well, you mentioned War Moon too. I always like to shine a light on War Moon
Cunningham.
because
I mean,
didn't make the Super Bowl, but threw for a gabillion yards. Played in the Canadian League for so long, and would be the passing leader if had he spent all those years in the NFL and stuff. But okay, I want to talk about a cultural shift change when you got drafted to the Patriots. And they were on the verge of becoming this dynasty. So, like, when did you and your teammates realize something special was bubbling up here and things were officially going to change? The unfortunate injury to Drew Bledsoe, but Brady comes in. We know about that stuff. But what else was going on around?
okay, so we're past
Yeah.
the loss when we lost to Green
Yeah,
Bay in
yeah, yeah.
'96.
I won't bring that.
We're past the Pete Carroll 3-year era,
Mm-hmm.
and Bill Belichick comes in, and I think we go 6-10
Okay.
when he comes in. And it's kind of like we had a losing year, but everybody kind of knew that we're on the right
Trajectory.
path.
Yeah. Okay.
And the direction where we're going in. I recall having a conversation with Roman Pfeiffer, linebacker, played with the Rams, and he was a free agent. He was just like, man, we was working out in the gym getting ready. He was kind of figuring out he was a free agent. Like, I don't know where to go. I'm gonna go talk to the Raiders. I'm gonna go talk to the Chargers and here and there and there. And I was just like, you guys, you haven't talked to us yet? He was just like, New England? I was like, bro, I said, we got something special cooking.
Yeah.
And he was just like, for real? And he was like, man, I don't know, Mac. And I'm like, trust me, bro. I said, I know we didn't, we were 6-10, but if you look at those losses, like a lot of those games, at least 5 of them was 3 points or less. So we were in every game. He ended up talking to his agent. He ended up coming to New England. He ended up winning a playoff game. He already had been in the league, I don't know, 10 years, however long. His first playoff game, he was crying in tears. And we were kind of looking at him once he got there. This is 01, once he got there, 01. And we're like, bro, this is like we already had got going, right?
Yeah.
And he ended up winning Super Bowls. And he's like, bro, I'll never forget that conversation. New England wasn't on my map. I didn't even think about New England. I don't even know if I wanted to go to New England. Yeah. But that conversation alone changed my entire career. He had played 13, 14, I don't know how many years without even going. He was with the Jets without even going or winning a playoff game. So when you talk about something special brewing, we felt it. We didn't know how special it was going to be. We didn't know the things that were going to take place. But it just started to happen. The pieces started to get in play. You started to understand what Bill was building. The culture was starting to get, implemented. He kept a foundational group of guys that he thought, because he was the coach there before we won in the Super Bowl. He was the defensive back coach. Okay. And Bill brought him back when he got fired from Cleveland. Okay. So he was there. So he already had knew. And then he played against us when he went to the Jets. He also went with Bill to coach with the Jets, that whole debacle about him wanting to be the head coach or not. And then he came back. So he had a foundation, a group of guys that he wanted to build off of. And that's where it just started. He kept, about, 8 of us. And he just started building, and we just started seeing it. And we're just like, man, this is different. We're not there yet. But after 1 year, we're in the Super Bowl. I mean, after 1 year, we came in 2099. After a year and a half, we're in the Super Bowl. And how we got there was crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody thought it would be Tom Brady taking us there.
Yeah. So I got to get your feelings on Pat the Patriot, the logo.
I love it.
You love it? Where are you sitting with that?
I love it. It's one of the toughest logos. I wear that one with my youth.
You do?
Yeah. Our young kids wear that one on their helmet. Like the other ones wear the Flying Elvis, but the young kids wear that one. It's one of the toughest.
It's fun, man.
It's one of the
fun.
toughest. Yeah, it's one of the hardest logos.
Yeah, so
especially when we go throwback on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, then you get to the Cleveland Browns and there is no logo. So, right?
Yeah.
Is it weird having
the
a helmet?
Brownies, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
it the Brownies?
There was Brownie the elf.
Brownie,
way
that-
back in the day.
Now
and then
they brought that back.
they
right?
did bring that back for a
wasn't
hot
feeling
second.
that.
No one was
I
feeling
wasn't
it.
the elf when I was
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I wasn't claiming the elf.
you're talking to a Cleveland guy over
I
here.
know, but I wasn't claiming the elf.
All right, look, I'm going to come out and say it. I'm
Yeah.
the original Brownie the elf. The logo was designed after me. No. Yeah, the logo thing is weird, and they just went back to the helmet, which is cool. But
stay with
we'll get into the Brown stuff later. But so ultimately, you guys have this great success. You win your first one. You probably feel like you can repeat and do this again. But at what point did you just feel invincible? And you were like,
Well,
we're never
We
going to
didn't
stop.
even make the playoffs the next year.
It's weird, right?
It was weird because I think we became complacent. We knew we were
Okay.
a good team, and we needed Green Bay to go to the Jets and win. And they always tell you don't depend on somebody else.
Yeah, you got to control your
You
own
got to
destiny.
control your own destiny. And I think we got complacent. We carried that Super Bowl into the off season, until probably camp, until and we forgot to say, hey, that doesn't matter. And I think it was a great lesson for us to understand that nobody cares. And all that does is put a bigger target on your back. And now everybody's going to be after you because you're going to be, it's always Super Bowl champ until it's not. And, we played and it's the same team, basically. We just was complacent and thought because it happened and nobody gave us a shot in 01. Nobody gave us a shot against the greatest show on turf and how talented that team was. We just thought, okay, it's probably just going to happen again like that. And it didn't. And that was a wake-up call. That pissed everybody off. I think that made us work harder. I think that shaped our mindset to be a little more mentally tough. And that was probably the thing that gave us that boost that we needed to say, hey, we have to work like 5 times, 10 times harder than what we did when we won, just because of everybody now is going to be coming for you.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. On a previous episode, we talked about a fine that Priest received. We were playing, smashing his helmet into the ground after a play.
Smashed. I was frustrated.
On the field?
Yeah,
Yeah,
scored
yeah,
a touchdown,
on the
took the helmet off, and just like had to get that frustration out.
Was there a moment?
Wait, you scored
Scored on a
And you-
pass.
and you was upset?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Or you was excited?
No.
No, I
So
was
we'll
upset.
paint the picture here a little bit
Okay.
for you, Willie. Sorry about that. I'll give you some context. So,
Yeah.
so Priest was frustrated with his coach at the time.
That's right.
And his coach was giving him some grief and he wasn't having it. And they called a play that only Priest could run.
Right.
And Priest is like, I'm not going in the game. I'm not going to the game. Sorry. And he's like, you got to go in. You got to run this play. So he's arguing with Coach Simon at the time in Baltimore. And he's just like, I'm not going in the game. Finally, Priest decides to go in the game. They run the play. It's a
Wheel route.
Yeah, wheel route outside. He catches the pass, runs all the way down, scores a touchdown. Spikes the ball into the stands, takes his helmet off, and smashes it, and runs over to the sideline. Gets his first fine. Did you have any out
I've
of
never
body?
seen the guy upset that he
I know.
scored a touchdown.
It's amazing. It was an amazing story.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is that Eric Rhett and I were running backs at that time, and so it was a lot of shuffling where Rhett would go in, I would go in.
I got you. I see
know
what
what I
you're
mean? And
saying.
so, although Rhett and Eric Rhett, we had a system where it was like, where we're supporting each other, regardless if you go in or I go in, we're gonna help each other. Make sure that
Right.
we got the information we need. But from a standpoint from player to head coach, yeah, it was frustrated.
Yeah.
And then getting blamed for anything that was a mistake on offense. You know what I mean?
Because you still want a little consistency so you can get going.
That's right.
As a player, you need to get going. Like if you start, okay, I'm feeling it, I'm getting the momentum, I'm getting going, and you get pulled, and you're like,
That's it.
I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Like I understand.
So I bring this up because I want to ask you if you had any moments in your career where you kind of had an out of body experience like that, where
I'm sure, man.
where you just kind of like, all right, man, I've had it, like, and you did whatever you did or got fined or maybe you roughed up one of your opponents a
I
little
roughed
too
up Drew
aggressively.
Bledsoe when he went to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Was there a story behind that, or was it
no,
just?
it wasn't a story. Drew's 6'5", 240, 245, 250 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're playing Buffalo, And I get to Drew. Now, Drew's still my guy. He's my friend.
Yeah, I was gonna your
And,
personal
but
relationship.
they
there.
traded him. That's the year
Yeah.
they traded
Yep.
him to Buffalo, and they traded Lloyd Malloy. So I get to the sack. I wrap him up. Priest, I literally look at the ref, blow the whistle. He does not blow the whistle. Now, remember, this is what they love about offense. They love to see the quarterback get loose,
That's right.
Right.
scramble, and make a great play down the field for a touchdown. They love it. They'll let it go a little bit longer if they think the quarterback can escape and make a great play. Watch the games now. It's the same thing.
Right.
I had Drew. Drew wasn't going nowhere. He did not blow the whistle. I literally look at him. He's right here. I look at him. He don't blow the whistle. I slam Drew.
Yeah.
The flag comes out.
yeah.
Unsportsmanlike, and I'm jawing at the ref. I'm like, I gave you the nod, like blow the whistle. I didn't want to take him down, and Drew's talking shit to me, and then I get fined. I get the letter in the mail,
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro, like no, like I did the right thing. I paused, like I had him. I paused.
Yeah.
I gave the look.
Movement
If you
stops,
watch that
yeah.
play now, it's like I get him, and it's kind of like we're taking steps, and you don't move. Okay, I'm taking
That's
him
right.
down, and I got a fine.
There it is.
Did Drew say anything?
Yeah, he
after
was
that?
talking like, oh, well, man, I thought we were. I'm like, go down then. But he's not going to go down because Drew's strong and he's used to breaking, or he gets the arm loose and he still throws the ball and then the crowd goes crazy and you look stupid because
Yeah.
you didn't finish the
right.
play.
Yeah.
And then we're watching tape and the first thing they say is, you didn't finish the
There
play.
you go.
And it's always about what? Finishing the play.
Finishing the play. Play to the whistle.
Play to the whistle. And I didn't get a whistle. So when I did what I did, then I looked like the bad guy. And it was like, oh, why you do your guy like that? And I'm like, man.
So did you take that letter, reseal it, and did you either send it to the ref or to
Nah,
Drew?
I tried to appeal it. Like at the time, you
Oh,
know,
you did?
we
Yeah.
try to appeal. We'll call in, but they're not having
No.
it. You rarely win those appeals.
How long did
Rarely.
it take before you and Drew talked after that? Or did you
We
see
were
it-
still cool.
Okay.
We were still cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were still cool. He's still my guy. We
Yeah.
still laugh about a lot of shit now.
I love a good fine story. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're in a position where it's like, you know, pick
But
your
a lot of
pick.
those fines, you wouldn't even like the envelope would just be in your locker when you come in.
Oh, like right away, like
Yeah.
after the game?
Yeah,
That
or
quick?
whatever.
Yeah.
It was that week, right?
Yeah, sometime around
Like
that
someone
week.
on
and
the
then-
sideline just typing
So
up fine.
it'll
Yeah, and then you'll
it'll
pick your
come
check.
that
Well,
week.
let them know. What does it look like on the deduction line on the check? When you go to pick up your check,
Yeah.
they're not letting you know. They're not asking you if you're going to get fined, anything
Nah.
like that.
Yeah, they
You're gonna
just
have
pull.
a
They just
deduction.
pull it,
They
and then
just
they're
pull
like,
it out,
yeah.
and it's usually probably like Wednesday, I think, because we're off Tuesdays.
That's right.
So
wait, can you overdraft? Can you get like so many fines that you're like your
Man,
check's like negative whatever? You're like, oh man,
there's some players that we played
Yes.
against that was getting fined damn near every
All the
week.
time?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
all the time.
oh wow,
All the time.
that's crazy. All right, so we ask all of our guests this: your biggest takeaway overall from your professional career playing, like you're away from the game now, and we'll get into what you're doing now, but you know your career wraps up, you have some time to reflect on everything. What was your biggest takeaway?
Just, I think what we created, and for me, like how hard it was to get to Sunday. I think a lot of times, and you look at players, and there's a process to everything, right? The process is, all the things that goes into before you get to the actual game. And the process was so hard. We pushed ourselves. I made it so hard for myself that the game was like the dessert. The game was easy. And for great players, I mean, offensive player of the year, pro bowler, all pro, all guys like that. It's a mindset, it's a work ethic. And your thing is you're not competing just against guys around, you're competing against everybody in the league. And I think I had that mindset in watching how hard we worked to get to Sunday and the process. And you miss that. You become obsessed with it
Mhm.
and you miss it.
Yeah.
And you miss the camaraderie and you miss like certain things. It's a brotherhood. I played 15 years. He played 11. So, it's like that was our way of life, the way we ate, the way we got up, the way we moved, the way we trained, the way we thought. Every single thing is a program. And some people cheat the program, some people don't. But you can see when you're done, you look back. And the one thing I was proud of when I look back on my career, that I felt like I didn't cheat. the process. I didn't cheat the program, and I didn't leave the game saying, "I wish, man, I wish I would have won more. I
Oh, that's
wish
good.
I would have put in more work, or I wish I would have been a better teammate." You know, you always say you can get better. Like that's just naturally as competitors what we do.
Right.
But I run into so many guys that say, "Man, I wish I would have worked harder, or I wish I would have did this, or I wish I would have trained harder, or put myself in position, or studied more." I already know with him the way he played the game. We didn't leave the game feeling that way.
Right. Right. So that first year out of retirement, were you still doing all that stuff? But
Yeah.
like in simple situations, like you're at the grocery store and you're like, dude, I got to cut these 3 people. And you're like bobbing and weaving and doing arm
Absolutely. I'll
swirls.
walk by somebody, throw a
Sacking
little
a
throw a little
cashier.
slap
Like,
rip.
yeah.
I throw a little slap rip.
through that.
Yeah, or you know, I was still training. Like I thought I was gonna go back for one more year. Mangini
Yeah.
had became the head coach at Cleveland,
Right.
and Rob Ryan was, I think, the D coordinator, and they was calling me like, "Hey, you can give me one more year," and da da da. So I was still training. It didn't work out,
Mhm.
but my mindset was like I was still training. I didn't stop training. I didn't stop, doing the things I was doing. Like I was still getting ready for camp. Still
Yeah.
getting ready for the season. That's how my mind was like programmed for so long.
Sure.
And it was kind of hard to turn that off. And I think a lot of us struggle with what now? Like, what do you do now? Like, you don't have something you have to get into. Like, you say bye to everybody. It's time to go. Y'all not gonna see me. I'm about to go to camp, and the season starts, and that's our work. That's our
Mhm.
job. Now, after all that time, you got to figure out now what's the next steps. What do you want to do? You can't just say, "Oh, I'm just gonna sit around." No, you gotta keep going. And that was my mentality. The next, what's next, and what do I want to do? But I had no regrets about that. I felt like I didn't do enough. Like I didn't work hard enough. I think that would have killed me if I would have walked away from the game like that.
Gotcha. Awesome,
Yeah.
man. All right.
Yeah, I left a little bit different.
Yeah.
I left a little bit different. I left the game saying to myself, I said, "Man, if I don't get my butt off this field, boy, they're gonna kill me." You know what I mean? That's what,
He was
that's
a
the thing.
workhorse. I mean, he did it all.
Yeah, they're gonna kill
But
me.
look, you
Yeah.
don't regret
all.
that either, though,
Yeah.
right? That
Well,
was
my
that
last
was a smart
season
play.
in 2007, it was kind of like the message upstairs with the staff and head coach was that I would only have 10 plays in 2007.
A game?
That was it, 10 plays, and they could have them however they wanted: passing, blocking,
Really?
decoy,
A
whatever you
10
want.
play
Wait, 10
contract.
games? They told
10
you
plays.
10
No,
games.
10
10
plays.
I'm sorry, 10 plays.
10 plays was what
Crazy.
2007 looked like for me. I said, "Oh yeah, I could do that. Ride this out, right?" I get in the game and Larry Johnson gets hurt. I think he breaks his ankle or something like that, and I end up. It's like
10 to
it's
60
like
plays.
week 9. Yes, like week 9. And man, I went in there, and of course, just the mentality, my work ethic, and things like that. If you're gonna give it to me, you're gonna feed me, I'm gonna take it.
Right.
So I ended up getting to the game, and man, I probably had like 50 plays later. You know what I mean? Between offensive plays, running the ball, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I says, "Man, yeah, they're gonna kill me if I keep staying out
He was
here."
like,
You know?
and that was it for you?
Yeah, that's kind of was the determining factor for me. You know what I mean? Because I got to a point where I could get, like I score a touchdown, your teammates get behind you and they pat you on the back or on the head, and then I would get numbness, would shoot down my body. I would get tackled, something simple, a simple tackle, and hit the ground a certain way. And one particular play, I was raising up, and the defender was jumping. I thought he was going to veer off, but he jumped over me, and his knee caught me in the helmet. And again, body goes numb.
Pain.
Yeah. So it was battling through some of that stuff like
Mhm.
that.
He was like, I'm good.
Yeah. But they kept feeding me the ball, and I said, "Man, them 10
like-
plays ain't happening
Right,
no more."
nah.
So
I would've went into
How
the
long does a
office and
broken
knocked
ankle?
on the door like, "Hey man, are we gonna increase the pay? Because we had a deal.
10 plays.
10 plays.
70 plays ago. What's going on?
yeah. So yeah, it was a little different for me. So it was one of those things where I had to just make a call, and I remember sitting there in the training room after at halftime versus the Colts, and ended up talking to the doctor, and it was one of those decisions I made right then. I never came back
Really?
out. I never came back out, the training room.
I didn't know
Yeah,
it was
I stayed
halftime.
inside.
Wow.
Yeah, halftime.
Wow.
And the
Never came
season
back
wasn't
out.
over?
I think it was the week before Thanksgiving.
Really?
So we still had, what's that?
Wow.
That's
Still
still what,
games
5,
left
6
out
Yeah,
there.
more
5,
games?
6 games left.
Yeah, something like that, maybe 5. Yeah, because I know I think we finished before
Well, that's health.
New Year.
I mean,
back then.
you were concerned about your health.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that was, that's that rules all.
Yeah, it was one of those calls. So I had to make it.
OG call.
Yeah.
He had to make an OG call.
Like, I'm out.
So fun.
They're like, where Priest go? They're like, I think he's in San Antonio.
Hey man, that's it.
Yeah, I literally flew back to Kansas City on that Sunday evening, right? Flew back, went to the team meeting on Monday morning, right?
Announced.
Made the announcement. Tuesday at the press conference, I was back home in San Antonio on Wednesday.
Damn.
Yeah,
you
it
wasn't
was,
playing.
yeah, I'm just like, I'm out.
You wasn't playing.
Like, I'm out.
You wasn't playing.
Yeah, I can see the writing on the wall. I think them carriers gonna keep coming. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was.
Who
one of
was
those
behind you
situations.
at that time then? Who ended up
let's see.
finishing out the season? Do you remember?
Kobe Smith. He's the running back coach at Arkansas right now.
Okay.
And Kobe was coming out of Louisville.
He was his brain was probably like,
Yeah.
all right, Larry
Yeah,
Johnson
so he
gone,
kind of got
Priest Holmes
dropped in
gone.
there. And that's really what happened.
He was on a 5 carry.
He was our rookie that
contract.
season. Larry goes down, and then it was like, well, we know what Priest can do, right? Even though I was coming off of an injury, but he's like, we still know what he can do. He's done it before. He's come back from every other injury. You know what I mean? So it's like he'll do it again. And I get in there, and sure enough, man,
The thing about him though, like for the rookie, it was big shoes to fill because like third down blocking,
that's right.
first and second down, catching the ball out of the backfield, like
do it all.
everything.
Do it all.
So if you're coming in and you're not like you're one dimensional, you're not used to that, it's a fall off. It's a fall off for the offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now their playbook is limited.
And it's food for you.
Yeah.
You're going I got
and
this.
We're looking at that like, hey, that's not Priest. So we already know he can't do all the stuff he can do.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So now, hey, we already know this out of the backfield. That's a wrap. This is a wrap, and this is a wrap. So we already know what they're gonna do. They limited. So that probably hurt the team a lot. When he
I like see that menu he explained.
Yeah.
He was like, a lot of them appetizers came off the menu.
Yeah. Hey man,
y'all got chips and salsa. Chips and salsa. Chips and salsa.
Chips, but we're out of salsa. We're out of salsa.
Nah, that's real talk.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, Willie, I have to ask, and Priest knows this. I need to get a full rundown of your experience, the Cleveland experience.
Okay.
So post Patriots, you have all this success, and you end up heading to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Become a Cleveland Brown. Romeo Cornell, I believe, was there at the time, and you worked with him.
Coordinator.
Yeah, at the Patriots. So I can see why he probably wanted you there.
Right.
So what was the overall experience for you like in Cleveland?
Well, wait a minute, Willie. The only reason why he's asking this is because he needs a Cleveland story so he can go back.
Yeah.
I gotta go back in town.
I gotta feed my family back home.
Gotta have a Cleveland story.
No, I'm in New York City now, but look, I grew up outside of Cleveland, and I used to go watch practices as a kid, and it's lifeblood there, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's take on Cleveland's different, but at the end of the day, everyone understands the passion of the fan base, and they never doubt that. But what was your experience like?
There's a huge passion for sports, especially football. And that was my first visit as a free agent. The Patriots were telling everybody pretty much, I don't know if they was telling, but they was putting it out there that I was close to inking a deal going back.
Okay.
And that wasn't true. Like, and
they were just saying,
they were just saying that sort of the market was softened. You know how it goes in free agency, the market was softened. So we put out a statement that we're not close to a deal, and I love everything I've done in New England, but I got to do what's best for me and my family. If that's staying, that's staying. If that's leaving, it's leaving. So then teams were like, oh, well, they don't have a deal, whatever. So Parcells was in Dallas at the time, the head coach. So he was somebody that we were talking to. Romeo was in Cleveland. I forgot who was in San Diego, but we were talking to them. Mangini, I think, was with the Jets.
The Jets, yeah.
We were talking to them. And we're talking to like 3 or 4 other teams once they found out like I wasn't about to sign. So my first visit, I go to Cleveland, and Romeo and Phil Savage was the GM, which wasn't a good dude for a lot of reasons. I think he really messed up that program. But Romeo was there, and I knew what Romeo wanted to do. I knew what he was trying to build. I knew the culture. I knew the scheme. I didn't even need a book. I already knew the defenses that he wanted to do. Todd Grantham, I think, was there as a D coordinator, but I already knew everything that had to do with everything when it came to the defense. And I knew it was a great football town. I knew they love football. We played against Cleveland, like I said. my rookie year and got our butts whooped down there. And I just remember the dog pound bouncing in the end zone. I just remember like the atmosphere and the people and, you know, everything that was going on and Belichick and them, they beat us. Michael Jackson, all those guys. I remember they had a dope team.
Yeah. Ice Cube, Gerald McNeil,
Yeah.
those were flat.
So they offered me. As soon as I got there, they was like, "Hey, we don't want you to leave." So I called Parcells. They threw a number out there. I called Parcells. He was like, "Yeah, that's a great number. I can get close, you know, but I think really if you know that's a good deal." Called Mangini, same thing. Then out of respect, I called the Patriots.
Okay.
And you know they kept making it seem like they wanted me to come back. I just didn't hear what I needed to hear at the time.
Sure.
And, you know, Pioli was kind of like the GM, didn't have the title, but the GM. So we talked and I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to sign this deal. So, you know, probably in the next couple of hours, if I don't hear from you guys and, you know, hey, I appreciate everything. It's all love and respect, you know, blah, 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 blah. An hour goes by, I sign the deal. Kraft calls going crazy. I didn't know you were gonna. I'm like, come on, man. Like you knew,
You knew it was up.
You knew it was up.
Yeah.
I'm sure when I made the call, we talked, and you know, he's family, and they all understood. I wanted to retire there. It didn't happen that way. A lot of players didn't retire in New England.
Yeah.
Tom Brady didn't retire in New England.
Yeah.
Richard Seymour, Ty Law.
That's
Mike
interesting about the
Vrabel.
program.
We came back and retired, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of us didn't end up. You know, guys like Troy Brown and Brewski stayed, but you know, that's because they were okay with whatever deals. And I said I would have came back for less. But when I went to Cleveland, I just thought, this is a great opportunity. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a great football atmosphere. They love football out here. They're going to support it. It was tough. You know, it was tough just because of the culture. They didn't understand how to win at the time. And Romeo was trying to implement that in the guys and teach them. And I guess I was a guy to bring over to say, okay, here's a guy who's a leader in our locker room, who knows how to win, who knows how to work. But the one thing I didn't want to do was be that guy to be like, you know this because you went to a different team. Because you won a Super Bowl when you went to before you went to
Baltimore and then Kansas City.
The KC, right? So I didn't want to go to Cleveland and be like, hey, this is how we did it in New England. This is how we won our Super Bowls. Do this. This is how we. Guys don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Like guys get irritated with that. So I didn't say much. I just did it. I just worked hard. I just did it. And I got guys to come along and understand, like, okay, I see how he works. I see he's doing more than was required. He's doing more conditioning than we have to do. If we had to go in the weight room twice, he's in there 4 days a week. He's always in the training room doing recovery. He's in there watching tape. I would make our group come in. We're watching, we're gonna watch 15 plays. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Start catching on, but just enough guys just didn't buy in.
Yeah.
The
You
year
gotta have them to buy in.
they didn't buy in.
Yeah.
The year we went 10-6. Now remember, at that time, that division was the division. It was tough.
It was crazy.
You had Baltimore, you had Cleveland.
Steelers.
Cleveland was probably the worst team in the division. You had Cincinnati that was really good. And you had Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know, you had Baltimore, Pittsburgh that were the bullies.
Yeah.
Now, I was used to beating up on the bullies from over there, which was different from over there. But when I came here, it was different. They were used to beating up on the teams in that division.
Right.
So the mindset, and it was the toughest thing is to get a bunch of grown men to understand the sacrifice, the things you have to do to prepare, the things that you shouldn't be doing, even when you lose or when you're not doing well, going out, hanging out, doing this, doing that, and like prioritizing things. Like, so I didn't want to be that guy. I never did that until we had a team meeting. And they said, all right, OG, tell us, man, tell us about, and then I would talk. And I said, everything you guys are out. The one thing I'll tell you, the story I remember telling in Cleveland, the team meeting, players only. I said, all the stuff that you guys are out there chasing, if you win, you don't have to chase it. It comes to you. The realest shit I ever told them.
Yeah.
I said, the girls, you guys are at the clubs. We'll lose by 30. You guys are at the clubs. You guys are hanging out. I'm at home miserable because I'm not used to losing. And it kills me to lose. It don't kill y'all to lose. So y'all, the girls, the facial recognition, people knowing who you are, in the money, the contracts. I said we had third stringers, second stringers going to get big contracts just because people wanted that winning pedigree.
Yeah.
We had guys that was backups going to get contracts because we won and they wanted that pedigree. I said, so all the stuff you guys are out there chasing, if you win, it'll all come to you. And they were just all like, damn, I never thought about it like that. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, they thought they already won. They're professional athletes. They're in the NFL.
They were winning. We lose by 30. They was at the club party. They was winning. And I'm like, nah, man, this
we
ain't
take
it.
small victories, small anything
This ain't
under
it.
30.
Joey Porter walking through our stress line and all this other. I'm like, this ain't it.
Yeah, I know that's right.
This ain't it, man. Like this is not how it went.
What a
we
different
did
culture.
go 10-6.
Yeah,
But the AFC was so good.
it's stacked.
We
yeah.
still didn't make the playoffs. And the town went crazy. They wanted to throw a parade at 10-6.
Yeah,
And I was just like, all right, we're on our way. And then the next year we went back down because guys felt like, oh, we went 10-6. I'm like, nah, bro, we got to work harder. Opposite.
Well, Willie, I mean, we threw a parade when we went 0-16, so we just like parades. I think is the real talk here. We like parades.
Let me
but
just tell you, man.
but thank you for sharing that, man. I appreciate
if they
that.
win,
Yeah, it'll be the
if
greatest
they-
thing
if-
ever.
if
The greatest thing.
Cleveland will burn down.
They will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
telling
hearing
you.
that.
They
Yeah.
love their Brownies. They got to go. You know, they adapted LeBron. You know, the
Yep.
Cavaliers and them because he came in around that time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and you know, Ohio State. They all kind of go over there, but all those fans are Browns fans. He'll tell you.
Yep.
All those fans from everywhere else are Browns
Browns
fans.
fans.
They
Wow.
will go nuts if they win.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Wow.
It'll be cool. You'll
It'll
be
be
there,
cool.
man. For once a Brown, always a
Yeah,
Brown.
man. I
You can't
respect
scrub
it.
it from your resume.
I respect it. I don't, man.
You can't
Hey,
take
I
it out.
don't.
Can't
I-
take no
I
take backs.
I think that taught me a lot being
Yeah,
there.
that's
you know?
cool.
It's
That's
like
good.
starting over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, for me.
Mhm.
I appreciate you sharing that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Priest, any final thoughts, man? You got
Yeah.
Willie?
Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
I
you
know, we could go
even
for
from
days.
teammates
For-
and
for
to
days.
different things like that, like with
Yeah.
Vrabel and
Yeah.
that relationship that you had when y'all
mean,
were playing.
Should we talk to him about cameos and entertainment and being in TV shows? You ever watch the show SWAT, Priest? You ever watch the show SWAT?
Yes, I know a
Yeah?
little bit about that.
That's
Okay.
funny, man. We're in LA, so that's
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
things like
so,
that.
so you're
happen.
dipping and diving,
Yeah.
man. Are you?
That was, that's older, man. And
Yeah,
I think now, like you get those opportunities, like I
Mhm.
said, because you win.
Yeah.
And
Right.
because, you understand it, like the teams, like you see all these players now, the game has changed so much. I mean, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but you don't have to be good to get huge contracts now in the NFL. It's just what the market dictates.
Yeah.
If you're playing like when we were going, like you had to hit this number, you had to score this many touchdowns, you had this much playing time, you had this, like all those things that you had to hit in the contract to get money. Like you have incentives now, but it's like, oh, workout incentives or this or that. But now if the market dictates, hey, these guys are making this, you make that.
Mhm.
It's different now. Like the game has changed a lot. And, it's a tough sport. It's a man sport. It's fun. We're out there and we did what we needed to do. And I'm not that guy to be like, oh man, I remember when we played, it was this and it was that. I respect the game and I watched the game evolve.
Yeah, it has.
From when I came in to where it is now. And it's a great game.
Mhm.
And it offers so many opportunities. Like you can look at what the Mannings and them are doing on TV and some of these
Yeah,
other
it's
people
fun.
now. Like there's opportunities if you play and you're good and you work hard and you align with the right people and do what you need to do. Entertainment, TV, business. Look at Tom Brady. Look what some of these guys are all. Look at what these guys are all doing now. Like
They have like card shops.
I mean,
and,
whatever it
video
is,
games.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's endless.
Sure.
And you hear a lot of guys now talking about the game on TV, media. There's a platform where nobody can tell the game like we can.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about jumping in front of the mic again? What do you
Yeah,
think?
I am. I'm getting reps. I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Of course.
And I've been working, and since my situation, I wasn't working. Like I sat back, and what I did was I kind of like looked to see where the game is going.
Mhm.
Where TV is now, the traditional versus where it is now. These type of platforms and being able to express more, talk about more. And I think what's interesting now is we always say football is family, right? Football is life and this and that. But there's so many things that are attached to the game. The game is kind of like the smallest part of it. There's so many stories, backstories, and so many things that are attached now in platforms where you can express and talk about these stories like we talked about. We never knew that. I never knew. He never came out of the locker room and was like, hey, this is it, or this is whatever the case may be. Like the untold stories. Like I think fans want to see, players outside of the uniforms and the helmets and everything. I think that's what's interesting. And you get
That's how you relate,
now,
right? That's how you relate.
That's how you relate. And you get platforms now where you can talk about those things and talk about stories and interact about like life now. So I think that's interesting, and I think that's where I'm going and what I'm interested in doing.
Love to see it. Well, continued success. Much, hope all that comes your way.
Yeah,
you get to rock that out. All right, you got 5 seconds to answer this question before we close out. It's a yes/no question. You ready?
Yes, no.
Would you trade one of your Super Bowl rings for just one more?
It's like
for one more lost by 30 party in Cleveland?
Wow, lost by 30. Party in Cleveland.
Yeah, because that's the only
I wasn't there. I was at home. You know what my party was? Going home, eating, going to the basement, because in Cleveland, you got the basements.
Yeah.
Miserable. Miserable.
Sorry you had to go through
and
that.
And then I would talk to my guys, and I'd be like, hey man, why are you so tired? Like, you had to go to the meetings on Mondays or whatever. And dudes would be out like falling asleep, getting there late. Oh, we was out, da da da. Or I hear you, we was out, da da da. I wouldn't even go in. I wouldn't even go in.
Where were these people going anyway? It was Cleveland.
I was just like, no, it don't matter. It don't matter where you at.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always a party or something going on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dog, y'all don't feel like we lost by 27. You cool? Like, you guys you good?
Well, it was 35 last week, Willie. So
the chain, the jewelry, the clothes, the bottles, on top of tables. There's a picture. Wow. Like Monday morning, it comes out in the paper. Somebody snapped a picture. One of the players, I ain't gonna mention his name, was on the table with his shirt off. I'm like, I could have sworn we just got our ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
He was just
and he was late for the Monday for the
team meeting.
The team meeting.
He
and
was,
I'm just like, you know why where he was late? He was in our game room fucking knocked out.
Oh wow.
Like still half hungover. And I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pull the plug there.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
All right, Willie, awesome to have you on, man. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
You guys,
we'll see you soon,
Thank
right?
you. Absolutely. Anytime.
This has been a Playmaker production.